Oh, sorry, Chef.
It's our bumper cars.
How is everybody?
Hello.
We're back. This is Chef Chris, Sam Ed. We are talking about Thursday night tastings, and we are doing it virtually for you that cannot be here in person. And we are happy to do this every single week for you because it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. What could go wrong?
And we like drinking wine, right, Chef?
I know we do. I would think that the folks following along at home would too, but
Yeah.
that's not going to stop us.
And all you people out there watching without drinking, shame on you. You should be drinking.
Get a glass.
Except for those under 21 years of age.
Then don't let anybody find
Or
out about it.
Or if you're watching this driving around, please don't drink and drive.
Because neither one of these have a screw cap.
That's right. It would be very challenging to open this while you're driving.
I'll show you how to do it.
Anyway,
I mean, that had ever happened.
that's not a great idea, Chef.
Terrible idea. I didn't say it was a good idea.
Right. Well,
I opened it for somebody one time as a trick.
right. Just to prove it could be done.
Mhm.
Right? Mm-hmm.
I'm big on that. I think someone dared me.
Double
You know
dog
I'm
dare?
not going to leave a dare laying there unattended.
Especially double dog dare.
Double dog dare.
They're the worst.
You got to follow through.
You got to man up.
Yep. No matter what the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ignore that.
Well, we do have a good legal team here in
True
Mount
enough.
to help you
That's
out
true
through
enough.
through those tough times, Chef. Well, all the nonsense aside, we really came here to drink wine and talk about wine.
I'm going to drink some wine.
And Chef Chris's beautiful food. Now, we were very fortunate over the weekend, Chef. We had
Thank you.
we had a family chef's table of 10 of Portuguese descent, and they had asked us to, if it were possible, to do their whole wine dinner, their 8 courses of food paired with Portuguese wines. I was like, you darn right.
It was so cool.
You darn rootin' tootin', because I love Portuguese wines.
And a challenge.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't much of a challenge with that menu you laid out, Chef. I mean, those wines just plugged in beautifully.
It was a gorgeous pairing across the board.
Well, this was one I brought in a bunch of Portuguese wines, as Chef saw by the
Yeah, we're
checks
not
we
really
wrote.
talking about that anymore.
He'll forgive me eventually. But this was one of the wines that we didn't have a pairing for, and so I'm like, well, guess what? We're gonna do it for Thursday night's tasting, and this was, believe it or not, this is one of my favorite wines that didn't make the cut because of the food that we had. It wasn't the right. We didn't want to have the wrong pairing, obviously, but this is from one of the considered probably the best, certainly most influential when it comes to fine wines of Portugal. This is from Mr. Ramos, and he's done amazing things in the Dow and the Douro. This happens to be from Vinho Verde. Now, Vinho Verde, known for these really non-varietal specific whites that are fun and easy to drink. Well, he's doing an Alvarinho here, which is a single varietal that is labeled prominently. If the glare,
Sorry, we've got a lot of sun today.
This glare always gets me, Chef. So as you can see here, Alvarinho, and that's how they spell it in Portugal, a little bit different than Spain. And as you know, Portugal is essentially attached to Spain. And you know, they don't really have anywhere to go except the ocean. So this...
But everybody loves going to the ocean.
Oh, yeah. So this is from the Vinho Verde region. We would not call this a Vinho Verde. So Vinho Verde is the famous white wine that I was speaking of, this lively and zesty and limey and delicious. This is more like Alvarinho from Spain, but tastes different in Portugal, but not wildly. You're not going to mistake this grape. It certainly maintains the classic salinity, minerality that you would expect from Alvarinho. I love this wine. I really hated that I couldn't showcase it, but we had so many great wines that I'm sure they
were
didn't miss it.
all over the top. All of them were over the top.
Mm. So Mr. Ramos here is not just making a simple wine, which typically in this region we're expecting simple, fresh white wines, and this is quite a departure from that. Certainly in the spec. How would you think about that, Chef?
That's outstanding. Big, round.
Yes.
I feel very mouth-watering.
Yes. incredibly large wine here.
I've got a weird thing going on here, though, and you're going to have to shoot it down, but I can't help it. It's what I'm tasting.
Oh, taste away, sir.
So, if you took away, it's going to sound weird, and I'm not saying it tastes like that. I don't know why the first sip it reminded me. Like if you took the sugar out of Fruity Pebbles.
Well,
or like a breakfast cereal.
yeah.
I don't know why it may, or like a birthday cake.
Okay.
Without the sugar, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah, the flavor without the sweetness.
The flavor without the sweetness, and I don't know why it's reminding me of like cereal or cake or something like a kid, like a flavor you remember as a kid. I don't know why I can't put my finger on it, but that's what I'm getting.
I can definitely get that. This is a
lime, and long finish on this.
A lot
really
of
nice.
salinity, a lot of minerality, a lot of fruit. Man, the fruit's is
everywhere.
banging. Now there is that limey, almost going towards a little pith, a little bit of little, but not. It's not. I wouldn't say this is a bitter wine at all, but there's reminiscent. And chef,
sure.
There's got to be some alcohol in this.
There has to be. Look at the legs.
Are you feeling what I'm feeling?
I'm feeling it. And look how it's riding the
What
glass.
in the world is this listed?
13%. I can't believe I can see that. I broke my glasses this morning. I can barely read, but I can see that 13.
Well,
they're not like shattered. I've got to get one of those little screws on the side of it replaced. But
are you telling me you have a screw loose?
well, I don't think that's news to anyone.
That's a good point. So
I asked Mrs. Wishart to help me, but she's busy. So.
This chef, as you alluded to, has incredible acidity on the tail end, and it's really interesting how it comes on, but it's such a big mouth, big rich mouthfeel, and then once that kind of dissipates, then here comes the acidity on the end, but in a very beautiful way, super refined acidity. This is not harsh acidity. And this is interesting too. I was telling you, it's not a simple white wine. It is 100% Alvarinho, which single varietal, which is listed in the Vino Verde region, is very rare. But I want to also point out another thing that makes this a little bit special is that it actually has barrel fermented grapes in it. So it's not 100%. But portion of these grapes are barrel fermented.
That's
unheard of.
Yeah, I mean,
unheard of in that area. You think of that for like Chardonnays. You think of that for California Chardonnays.
But yeah, you would not. Oh, how about those Portuguese?
Yeah, Alvarinho, or Alvarinho in this case, in barrel ferment of fine French oak, new oak.
Always pushing the envelope.
But I will say this: it's not enough oak influence in terms of you're not going to get like the vanilla or anything like that.
Right.
And of course, Alvarinho is going to react differently than Chardonnay would because it's a different grape. But what you do get is this real softening of that intense acidity.
The roundness.
Then the roundness. It is unctuous. It is a beautiful wine. This is probably the most high-end Alvarinho I've ever had, and it's not surprising because of who made it, Mr. Ramos.
Well, second place isn't even close. I mean,
Alvarinhos
you have. I mean, they're all great, but they're all just like summertime sluggers.
Right. This is a very different style. This is a very serious style, and you can see too a bigger bottle. This looks like almost like a Chardonnay bottle.
That's what we were talking about yesterday when you like showed it to me, like what we're having. I was like, oh, we're doing Chard. You're like, no, that's the Alvarinho.
Yeah. But when you think about it, I mean, that's with that barrel ferment, he's treating it almost like a Chardonnay. Sense. But wow, this is magic in the glass, and I know not everyone gets excited about Alvarinho the grape. But
they will now.
But that is phenomenal, and I had to study this grape to become a somm, and for me, they were kind of one-dimensional, or they were basically. There was a sea of Alvarinhos that didn't stand apart from one another. This thing stands apart. I love it.
Well, and even after the rest of the fruit washes out, the lime remains. That's hard to do. Normally, the lime's on the front. But the staying power of that lime is just something else.
That little chalky undertone of minerality. Gosh, flinty. It's special. Flinty. It's got we served some Puy Fumé at the chef's table that was very flinty, and this has a lot of that flintiness in it. which is another beautiful aspect of this wine.
Well, that's in two areas that are, the old limestone, used to be seabeds, ancient seabeds that are now the growing regions. I mean, it's two areas that have that in common for sure. Their climates aren't so much, but certainly the soil is similar.
Yeah, this also happens to be a very a dry area as well, so that would explain the concentration of grapes. It's really intense flavors. Well, Chef, I kind of peeked over there.
You did have a little sneaky peek.
And I like what I see. What you got for the kiddos in their take-home package?
Our little take-home packages are adorable this week. We have our beautiful wild-caught shrimp with a saffron emulsion, roasted salted cashews, a little spiced pickled cabbage, but I'm not going to call it kimchi because it's not hot like kimchi, but it's done in the traditional method of kimchi, just without the real heat that I think would kind of crush this wine. And we don't want to crush this wine. We want to enhance it. Then you've got some little pea sprouts, or pea shoots rather.
Oh, aren't they adorable?
And that's going to give it some great little pop too. I love pea shoots. People think these little garnishes are garnished, like you just flick them to the side. They really play a big role in these dishes.
Yeah, the nasturtiums you were using over at the chef's table, that really changed the dish.
Love those.
I mean, or maybe not changed it, but took it to a different space.
If everyone listened, it does enhance it and elevate it because it is an intrinsic part of it. So I mean, it'd be like not eating your sauce, So everything's going to be good without a sauce, but it's always better with it. I'm hoping the vinegar from the cabbage doesn't knock that wine out.
No.
Good.
It stands firm. What I'm getting here, Chef, that's how I was putting all these beautiful things together. The cabbage and the pea shoot were kind of feeding off each other. So I was getting a lot of vegetality. And when I pulled that Alvarinho over the top, the shrimp just blew up in my mouth.
Nice.
Like shrimp times, almost, it reminded me of that, there's there's an Asian product where it's like dried shrimp or shrimp powder.
It's all the
like
shrimp
that.
powder. Right, yeah. That stuff is amazing.
It gives you that intense crustacean flavor. That's what happened in my mouth when I pulled that Alvarinho across.
I love it.
Absolutely delicious.
Well, then you get a little fat from the emulsion and the cashews. I mean, there's some balance there too. It's not all sharp, but man, it's fun. It's a pretty dish too.
Delicious.
Should be great with this. This is a real treat to have this wine in the package. I mean, it's
and the
huge.
company.
Cheers.
Cheers
to that. Super delicious.
And the salted cashews that's a winner too. So if you just want to have this as an aperitif with some cocktail nuts before dinner.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
And this could lead right into a meal. Could be
perfect.
If you had any kind of seafood or salad, and some salty cheeses too.
I was really thinking I was just going to do a salty cheese.
But I was just thinking
I had, everything I have right now is kind of what we've done lately. The only thing I have this little different. We haven't done the ridge line in a while, but I think we did it like 3 weeks ago. And I got some more cheeses today, but there's things we've had in the last month, and I thought we'd change it up a bit. Everybody likes a little change, but we'll have more great cheeses next week, per usual.
Well, folks.
Yeah,
wow, that
good
is
start.
So freaking
great
amazing.
Wine, great little accompaniment. We're off to a good start
here. That's a perfect pairing. All right. So, Mr. Ramos, Alvarinho, from Vinho Verde region of Portugal, that was a really nice surprise. I've been tasting a lot of Portuguese wines leading up to this meal. I was really excited. Actually, I had some 2015 Medeco that I've been sitting on. I mean,
you had that anyway.
I had that.
Waiting.
Yeah, I had that. Chef, I think I bought that the first year I was here.
I think that was one of the first case wines.
So I think I've been sitting on that for a good 4 years and waiting for that pairing.
And there it was.
And it's aged so beautifully. That was a
gorgeous
nice
wine.
surprise. I took my Corvin out and tasted it one more time, just because I haven't tasted it in about 6 or 8 months. I periodically tap into my aged wines to see how they're doing. And this thing was crazy smooth, but still so flavorful.
Nice.
That was really great, and then everybody loved it.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean, there wasn't a course paired that people didn't freak out over.
Yeah.
I mean, it just built
fun.
and built and built and built, and you know, you didn't even have that one ho hum anything.
Right.
It was,
There was no vanilla, so to speak.
no pedestrian items.
No, it was not. And with those dishes, that's the way it had to be.
It was great.
All right, so we are going from maybe a new traditional one. Hopefully that'll be hopefully that's a sign of things to come from Vino Verde. Not that I'm downplaying how much I love the simple wines of Vino Verde, but boy, that's really promising to have that kind of complexity coming out of an area not known for that. So now we're getting to, I know we have several people out there that are big Malbec fans. I just wanted to get one of those that I've always been a fan of, LaPosta. They are actually, they have a winemaker. They actually get their grapes from different vineyards, and they name each vineyard. And this is the family name of the vineyard, Pizzella. It's a husband and wife team. They have beautiful, beautiful vineyards. If you can go on the internet and look at them. It's just absolutely stunning. Very healthy vines. Very much in tune with the Uco Valley and Mendoza, you know, Argentinian. This is exactly what I would call quintessential Malbec. It's not one of these big, over-the-top, overly oaked Malbecs that we've seen a lot of, which are also delicious. But this is more in terms of, in my mind, kind of classic style.
Well, and the oak on this is perfect.
It is. It's
You
certainly
get a little
prevalent.
vanilla,
It's not over.
you get a little crema and vanilla, and the roundness. But
Do you get that toast on there?
I don't like it when they try to turn a Malbec into a cad.
Yeah.
And they're letting a Malbec be a Malbec.
Absolutely. So,
Really, really nice, soft tannin. You know, the fruit and the almost a little smoke on that almost.
yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. It's
Delicious.
Toasty, smoky.
That is really nice.
And then the silk. The silk. It's
I
so.
mean, the tannins are so soft, it's just silky all the way through. You don't get a little abrasion at all. It's delicious.
And then right at the end, that little pop of acidity that makes it such a great food wine. You could literally probably eat anything with this.
Or
From
just
fast food to fine dining.
pretty much anything. And I kind of went with a theme kind of like that where, of course, if you go to Argentina, it's beef capital of the world. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you can't go anywhere without. And the grilling style of Argentina is fascinating because it's not like American or Australia, another huge beef area, but the grilling in Argentina is my favorite. I mean, it's an event.
Yeah.
And like people don't have grills, they have pits. And so it's like a cross between like what you would see in the American South, like a pit master is all enclosed. You know, they're doing them in the big slow oven smokers.
Right.
But the Argentinians, they do the racks, you know, the cast iron. Everybody's system is like a big sense of pride. You know, who made their racks and how they build their fires.
Yep.
And, you know, it's like you don't throw a steak on the grill. You throw a side of beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the grill.
And invite friends and family.
Oh, I mean, it's such an event. I mean, when I don't have to work anymore, which will mean when I'm dead, but I'm hoping there'll be 3 or 4 days in between there. I mean, because that's what I would.
Yeah.
That's how I would want to finish my life, is to have a big pit where I could roast meats and roast whole sides of meats and have friends over and like they start their fires, you know, in the evening, like in order to grill them all night. I mean, so whatever you're putting on today is for tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're not just searing a few veg, and then they have a smaller pit for like searing, you know, starches and things like that. But I mean, I wouldn't want to have that life.
And plenty of chimichurri, right?
Always chimichurri. Well, not always chimichurri, but
we love our chimichurri. That's why
we do. And
it's one of my favorite condiments.
And the chimi is really, it's become more ubiquitous with their food. But there's actually like 20 varieties in like the different areas. Right. Accent it differently, and I think that's fascinating too. You know, that'd be like saying barbecue sauce.
Absolutely.
So I mean, totally agree. We all know. I mean, you have fist fights over that stuff. You know, I mean, so it wouldn't be like Jimmy. It's great. I just love it. I'm geeking out on all this just because I love it. So.
Absolutely delicious wine here. I mean,
fabulous
it's
wine.
Stunning, really, for the price. It's under $20. And
how do you keep doing it?
This is a great collaboration where you have winemaker with 5-6 different vineyards making those great relationships, and one family focusing on making the grapes to the best of their ability, be the ripest, the healthiest grapes possible, and then passing the grapes off to the winemaker where he can do his thing. And I love that separation. A lot of us out there think that, you have to grow the grapes that you make wine from. And if you can, sure. And that's great, but it's not mandatory. And I think sometimes, there's jobs are really big and you need to split it up a little bit.
Well, I was going to follow up on that, and this isn't a strict negotiation to where there is some, there is collaboration.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There is thank you so much. There's collaboration between the grower and the winemaker.
A relationship, really.
A relationship. Yeah. So it's not like it's not like you're going down the market
and bidding on
grapes. I mean, you're there's both have a hand in it, but it's kind of like, I mean, just to make it oversimplify it. I mean, you wouldn't hire one employee here at the winery and go, you're the host, the cook, the dishwasher, and the bartender. Yeah. And then you're mad at them when they're all not exceeding at a high level. Yeah. You're like, no, we're going to train you at this, and you're going to perform at a high level at this task, and we're going to let this person perform at a high level here, and then as an operation, we're all going to shine. And so, to me, it's counterintuitive to try to take these people and morph them into these superhumans who couldn't possibly do it all well.
Right. Well, this is great too. Also, I find it very attractive that they're all family owned and operated, and that's the beautiful thing. Chris and I work for a family owned and operated company, and I couldn't be happier. It's and I'm not trying to knock the rest of the things out there that you who you work with or who you associate or how you run your business. But I like the idea of being part of a family.
There's something different. Mm-hmm. There's a different element to it, and when things are good and bad.
Sure. Yeah.
The celebration is better.
Yep.
And when things are bad, there's more of a how are we going to get through this, not like whose fault is it.
Right. Agreed.
And so I think, I'm sure not every family-run business is like that, but I know this one is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah. Well, we already knew that.
Yep.
What is it?
Well, Chef, I see something over there.
We got a little something.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
I saw you grilling this, and I was like, what is he up to?
Yeah, so I'm down there grilling some pork shoulders.
And what did you call this cut of steak?
It's technically called a blade steak.
Blade steak. It's
just a bone-in shoulder cut. I marinated it for a little while and then grilled it. Real great depth of flavor on this. The marbling is outstanding. If you try to do this with any other kind of cut near that area, it's not going to be quite as tender. It can be a little tough.
There's a limited
There's a small area there you can cut this from.
I think most people, when you think of like pork shoulder, you're thinking long, slow smoking.
You're thinking, oh, this is like a Boston butt. I'm going to smoke it forever or braise it forever. But you have a section that allows you that depth of flavor with just a grill and roast.
It's so tender.
So tender. It's counterintuitive, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
It also takes a good butcher to cut this. I wouldn't suggest getting Well, first of all, you need a bandsaw. And second of all, you need to really know how you're going to cut this. But just a real treat because you get a really intense pork flavor instead of it being, pork can be kind of lean and bland. That's why you get these intense sauces all the time with pork. But, I did a little light barbecue. I enhanced it with lusty monk mustard, and I'm using 2 kinds of vinegar, a little brown sugar, just a touch. We got some Brussels sprouts and goat cheese. Some of the, to give a little roughage to stand this up, because I think the Malbec loves that green. I mean, the Malbec isn't a green wine, but it loves that, a little bit of that hearty green on it. And of course, the goat cheese brings everything home.
It's crazy how the Malbec really even lifts up even more. Oh, pardon me. The char on the steak. It just plays off of that roasty, toasty barrel accent on the Malbec, playing right off the grill.
Well, and I used some balsamic vinegar for the marinade. I marinated them for like 15 minutes. Not a big deal or anything. Marinated the pork for about 15 minutes in balsamic. And of course, I use a little balsamic in my barbecue also. I put a touch of apple cider in there, but I like the balsamic. And so I think that balsamic, obviously barrel aged also, the barrel aged grape. Yeah. So I think it's enjoying that relationship with the Malbec as well.
The goat cheese with the Brussels is legend. Man, especially when you bring the Malbec. It's really interesting. The goat cheese is pretty dominant flavor profile. Even it overpowers Brussels sprouts even, I think. But once I had the Brussels and the goat cheese in my mouth, and I pulled in that beautiful Malbec over the top, the Brussels just said, "Hey, here I am. Don't forget about me." And it really highlighted the Brussels sprouts.
Well, and they have such a contribution where depending on how you can make Brussels 100,000 ways, and I'm glad people are. God, when we were growing up, I'd leave the house. I'd go live with my grandma.
Boiled, soft, disgusting.
And I'm so glad they've had a resurgence because they have so much character and so much to offer, not just on standalone, but how they accentuate proteins and how they accentuate wine. They deserve the renaissance they're having.
This is a wonderful show.
We got a bunch of Brussels variations for Thanksgiving this year for our to-go stuff. So keep an eye out for that. We're doing Brussels several different ways because I think they're a Thanksgiving staple. They usually are doing. Is there any left?
There's not going to be.
Thank you.
I'm going to put a hurting on this one.
Good, and you got more food to eat with that too. Before you know it, by the time you finish that, you're going to need more wine.
I better stop eating because I can't talk with a mouthful. So
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
So you mentioned Thanksgiving. You showed me the menus. What a huge, diverse menu you have. So anybody out there looking for Thanksgiving meals, complete Thanksgiving meals, Chef's got one for you that'll feed 12 to 16. Also, you could do a half of one that'll feed about 8 to 10.
And or you could just pick it apart.
Or you can
some
just,
a la carte
if
stuff.
If you need some side items, if you need some ham, you need some turkey, Chef will make sure that you get all of that.
We're just looking to help you out. I mean, Thanksgiving can be really stressful. Any holiday can, but
it takes the fun out of it sometimes.
Well, especially when you're hosting.
Yeah.
You have beyond you gotta get your house ready, you get the flowers, the sheets, and make sure everything is just so, and you're spending $1 billion, and Thanksgiving, Mom and I talk about this a lot. There's nothing really at Thanksgiving except maybe if you do a really high-end dessert. This really, you take any ingredient served at Thanksgiving, it's like, But everything somehow takes 4.5 to 10.5 hours to do. And, requires 4 refrigerators to hold all this mess.
Yep.
You use every pan you have 16 times. Anyway, it's so labor intensive. And you're not visiting. You go to the store, you spend $1,000. You're already having to get all this wine and beer and flowers and get the house pretty. And you know, you have this feast, and then everybody's like, I'm bored, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to take them out all weekend, and you do all these things. Anyway, we're trying to help. We want to take some of that burden off of you. You don't have to chop Brussels for 2 hours. You don't have to peel potatoes and do all these things. You let us take that burden off of you, and you enjoy your family, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I enjoyed the wine.
Oh, you'll need a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what family's for.
You might see the Cowboys win on Thanksgiving Day for the first time
It's been a
in
minute.
a while.
It's been a minute. We're actually winning games. It's crazy.
That's going to be great. You're going to need more wine for that.
How about we just get the Tar Heels to win? God, they're terrible.
Slow down. One team at a time.
That's true. Well, luckily we have so many teams to root for. One of them's bound to win eventually.
It's got to happen. I mean, it's the laws of...
The Browns have some hope, but, you know, another tough loss.
It's statistically impossible for all of our favorite teams to continue to lose.
Because they do. They lose.
That's all they do.
Well, Chef, I think we've done it again. We've managed to convey some beautiful wines and food.
And knowledge.
And
the knowledge of these regions that you've imparted on us. We are born again smart.
Hey, you over there that fell asleep on the couch watching this, wake up, because the video's over.
Now there's a test.
Hey, we do appreciate y'all for supporting us here at ONS and not flipping out on us like some of my guests did today. And that is certainly a jab at Mr. Flippin' out there. So anyway.
They did like my soup, though.
He loved your soup. So anyway, always a pleasure. It's an honor to be able to do this. Plus, it gives us a reason to drink.
We love it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Catch you next week.
See you then. Thanks.